folks, and welcome back to another video. As some of you longtime viewers of the channel would remember, a while back I would drop this in one of my rail fanning videos. Now, the reason why the pictures look the way they do was because I tried updating them via Photoshop Express. One of these days I'm going to make a tutorial showing you how to use it. And now, all this time later, I would finally get to it. Today, I will be giving you a tutorial on how to use Photoshop Express to make thumbnails for your YouTube videos. The reason why I held off on making this video is because I wanted to build my skills using the app before I would show you how to use the app to make YouTube thumbnails for your own videos. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to teach you how to use on this app is the photo editor. When you click on it, it takes you to your photo album and gives you an option of what photo you want to use to make for your thumbnail, which in this case, we're going to pick this one of a BNSF Thundercab SD70 Ace. Once you have selected the image that you want to use for your thumbnail, the canvas then pops up. Towards the bottom of the screen, you got various actions you can use to modify your image, like crop, text, heal, if you're working on a picture of an actual person that you know, adjustments, and looks. And this is where we're going to start here. With the looks, you can change the image based on the added templates that are in the app. The best one that I use is the HDR filters. And out of all of these, there's at least 20 or 30 different filters you can use. But the ones that have that little crown icon in the bottom corner of the preview means that you have to use a membership to get access to these filters. For the example that I'm going to be providing today, the HDR filter we are going to use is HDR filter number 1. Once you have selected the filter that you want to use for your thumbnail, a slider then appears above the selection menu, which gives you the option to turn it down or turn it up. But for the example that I'm going to be providing today, I'm going to stick close to the default settings that are for the filter. The next step that I would take is go to the adjustments panel, which gives you a lot of different options to use to modify your picture. Starting with the exposure settings, I'm going to turn it down a little bit as the time that I took this picture, the sun was very high in the sky. It was basically in the noon hour of the day, so it doesn't give the best options when it comes to taking pictures. In addition to that, on the contrast slider, I'm going to turn it up a little bit too to add some contrast to give the colors more depth. Moving right along to the vibrance menu with the color selector, the standard that I typically use is about 20%. When it comes to other actions in the adjustments panel, there are other ones like effects, which in this case, I would be using dehaze, like this, which actually makes the image look kind of cool, but I'm just showing you these features. In addition to detail, like sharpen, where you can sharpen the image and add more detail. Reduce luminous, which reduces the luminous of the image while smoothing it out. And lastly, reduce color noise reduction, which pretty much speaks for itself, reducing the noise reduction and making the image smoother. And this is one of the features that we're actually going to see today. The final thing that I end up using when making a singular picture or thumbnail for my YouTube videos is go to the text menu. When this interface pops up, it gives you an option to type in some actual text, which in this case, I am going to be using the locomotive's identity as an example. And once you're finished with that, the text then lays on top of the image as so. The bounding box around the text allows you to resize it. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can make it longer, or you can make it skinnier, which in this case, I'm going to make it longer so it's just one single line of text and they're not sitting on top of each other. The pink boundary lines here also tell you if you're at the center of the image. The next thing that I do is go to the Styles panel, which gives you styles of text that you can use. The shape icons are the best ones that I use for my YouTube thumbnails. And when you select one, it goes right back to the center of the screen, but you can adjust it like so to make it how you want it. The next thing that I do is pick a type of font that I use for the text. The ones I like to use are the more cleaner fonts, which make it much more easier to read. Next, I like to change the color of the boxes around the text to make it more interesting. In this case, I am going to be using the orange and blue complementary palette. Finally, I like to add strokes to the text to make it stand out from the color that's behind it. And you can select a different color, like yellow, gray color, but in this case I'll be using black. And the slider above the color picker allows you to make it thicker, or you can make it thinner. In this case, I'm going to make it thicker so it comes out of the blue background a little bit better. Alrighty folks, we are done editing the image. Before I export it to my album, I get rid of the bounding box around the text, and when I'm ready to download it, there's a little download icon near the top right corner of your screen. When you click on it, it takes you to this window, and ignore the 14-day free trial, which is something I'm not going to do today. Anyways, there is a selection of watermarks you can use. You can make your own if you're a professional, or you can use one of the Photoshop Express ones if you're using it for free. And the personal watermarks, you would have to use a membership for to get those. Right above that is the image type that it's going to save as well as the dimensions of said image. Right in between the watermark and the free trial icon is the save button, which we're going to click on next. Then this image pops up with the other things you can add, but we're going to close that. Now we're just going to check and see if it ended up in the album, which in this case it did. So that's basically how I make singular images as YouTube thumbnails. The second and final thing I'm going to teach you how to use on this app is the photo collage option. When you click on it, it takes you back to the image selector menu. And in this case, we are going to pick 3 images of the Avenger Monster Jam truck. Once you have the images that you want, you then hit next. When you do that, it takes you to an option where you can select the layouts of your collage. And there are 3 different options you can pick from: grids, unique, and classic. And there are multiple different options among those, which are basically sub-options. In this case, I am going to be using the more simple ones. After doing some testing, I have decided that the option that I'm about to click on is the one that works the best. And even then, there are some changes that we do need to make. I've done some further testing when it comes to the layout that we are going to use for this example, and the one that's currently with the images right now is not going to work. So, I'm going to go over to the unique section and click AS number 7, which definitely cleans it up a heck of a lot better. Now, each part of this collage is its own image. When you click on it, a bounding box appears so you can move it up or down, which I'm not going to do either to maintain consistency. Or if you just slide within the image, you can raise it up or down without having to move the entire portion of the collage up or down, which I'm going to go ahead and do for you and come back to you once I got it more consistently correct. Now the images have been moved to the best of my ability to make sure that most of them are fitting on top of each other instead of basically missing big portions of the images in the collage. Now the next part of this tutorial is similar, to how the single image from earlier was edited. However, if you go to the slide menu that's at the very bottom of your screen and hit edit, you can edit each single image in your collage and make it up to snuff the way you want it to be. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at that. Alrighty folks, I basically got the image the way I want it to look for this example, and as I save it using the same process from earlier, it's important to mention that this is not a definitive tutorial on how to use this app. This is basically how I like to use it, and I basically want to show it to you basically to have you learn something from it and develop your own style. This is basically segueing into the final thing I want to discuss, which is my retrospective on the AI art debate. As highlighted here, Photoshop Express offers some different prompts for AI to edit your images while you're using the app, which is definitely something that wasn't there when I started using the app. In an attempt to explain this issue in a way that doesn't start a firefight in my comments section, content creators like SMT Mainline and the Winnipeg Railfan have given thorough explanations of the short-term effects of AI being used in the corner of YouTube that I currently sit in. When it comes to AI being used in the long term is where things get a little hazy. With content creators in the Train Content Corner, YMP Studios just recently put out a video that gave a very thorough explanation of AI being used in the long term. Then you got content creators like NyaraVT who also give a very thorough explanation of the usage of AI, but specifically in the field where it's relevant to me, that being the graphic design business. When it comes down to my thoughts on AI, there are certain areas where it can be helpful. However, it's not realistic to implement it all across the board to do everything for you, especially in the graphic design business. If you're interested in listening to the videos from the content creators I have listed, I will put links in the descriptions for further exploration. When it's all said and done with, I hope this tutorial was helpful to you guys. If you enjoyed this video, consider checking out some other ones of mine. Leave a like or a comment down below to share your thoughts. Subscribe if you're new, and tap the notifications bell if you want to be notified when a new video gets posted here on the channel just like this. Until next time, this is All Ohio Railfan, signing off.